All right, so today I'm going to be doing a little bit of light transmission work. One problem this Scout has always had is the transmission has leaked. My grandpa kept a logbook of everything he did to it. I noticed even in that book, right after he bought it, this was something that he battled, and they tried changing the gasket and resealing the pan multiple times, and it always leaked. The bad thing is when you don't drive it every day, it's dripping and it gets on the exhaust. So every time you do start it, it smokes and has to burn all that off the exhaust pipe right there. So a couple things that I tried, it's been a long time ago, it's been a while, but a couple things that I tried that he didn't was I replaced the shift shaft seal, and it still leaked. So what I'm going to do today is I've actually got a new pan. So we're going to replace the transmission pan, and I got the shift shaft seal kit from IH Parts America, and it has a piece in it that I've never have changed. So it has the metal clad shift shaft seal, but it also contains a smaller little donut seal for the throttle valve linkage, and that's never been changed. I did, as a test, I got from above and I cleaned all that off right there around that area, made sure it was perfectly dry. Came back a few days later and it had transmission fluid. So I'm certain that it's coming from the top around that shift shaft seal area. So here we are, top looking down. It's kind of hard to do this, hold the light and camera, but I'm going to be working right here in this area. You see where the shift cable goes, throttle valve linkage is connected. I don't know if you can see it, but I've pulled the cable and linkage off. You can see right there on the top of that throttle valve shaft, you got fluid that's pulled up on there around the seal. And I pulled this plug out and let it drain overnight, so I got I don't know, a couple of quarts maybe, so drained out already. I really want to go with a higher capacity pan, but I didn't know if it would work, if it would clear this pipe here. And so one of these days I'll get rid of that. Different exhaust setup maybe, but for now I got to deal with it. All right, so here's the valve body out of the transmission. So you get the shift shaft and you get the throttle valve there. And this underneath here, we should find a small little rubber donut seal. Take that little ring off. Get this piece here. And sure enough, we've got a there we go. I guess it's just a lot of crud built up on top of there, but that's all dry, and so definitely time for that to be replaced. So here's the inside. With the seal out, goes right inside there. And then we also have our metal clad seal that goes inside the case that seals against this surface down there. And here's the old shift shaft seal. These are pretty easy to get out when the valve body's out, because from underneath you can just use a screwdriver and bumper stick and just stick it up underneath there, and it just taps right out. Super easy. So as you can see here, I've got the valve body out. I've got my new seal in. My new shift shaft seal is in. I really wasn't able to record it because it's an extremely tight spot. It took both hands. I kind of made a homemade tool, kind of like the one you can buy, to put it in. Made it a heck of a lot easier. Made it really simple. I really didn't fight with it at all. Went right in. So just kind of getting this as clean as I can. And I'll put the valve body back in. One other thing too I wanted to mention, I'm talking about leaks. Get this to spin around here. The dipstick tube has an O-ring on it. It can be a point of leaks too. I've replaced this one recently, so it's the only reason I'm not pulling it back out. It's dry over there around it, so I'm pretty certain that's not leaking. So just gonna get this really clean. Can't stress that enough. Putting this stuff back together to prevent leaks. Make sure it's as clean as it can be. This pan shipped with kind of a light oil on it to keep it from corroding. I'm just making sure get all that out of there. Then I'm going to use a Permatex high temp red. Just going to use it on the bottom side of the pan just to help the gasket stay in place and get everything super clean. The bottom side of the transmission, that mating surface gets super clean, and see if we can make this not leak this time. So what I'll do is I'm going to apply a real thin layer around here. We'll go around all the holes. Important to make sure clean the holes once you put this on. Make sure there's not anything inside the holes, because you don't want that getting on the bolts and going up inside the transmission. So make sure to clean that. See, I'm just gonna go around and make sure all these holes are clear. Some new pan's on. I use torque wrench to tighten those bolts. 13 foot-pounds. What I'll do is, I'm in no rush, so I'm just gonna let this sit for a few days before I put fluid in it. And we'll heat it up and see if it holds. So I've got the transmission refilled, and I've run the engine up to temperature a few times. So now it's really going to be the test if we still have any leaks. Just a note on these, it's important when you're checking the 727 that you do it with the engine running, everything at full operating temperature, level surface, transmission in neutral, and that's how you check it, make sure it's full. So everything's done. Now we just have to make sure that we don't have any leaks. I put a clean piece of cardboard down just to kind of be an indicator, and you can see it's still perfectly clean except for one little drip spot right underneath the drain plug on the oil pan. So that nylon washer probably needs to be replaced. But the transmission pan is totally dry. It appears to be holding at this point. We'll check it again in a few weeks, but looks like we might have got it. If you're interested to see what happens, be sure and subscribe and follow. I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching.